Valentine's Day hits differently when you've been alone too many times. It doesn't sneak up on you, it barges in. The stores, the music, the notifications all conspiring to remind you that everyone else has someone while you're left with a silence that presses against your chest. And if you're like me, you don't just notice it, you feel it. Deeply. Every year it carves a little space inside you, a hollow that's hard to explain, even to yourself. The first thing I've learned is this: stop pretending it won't hurt. Don't tell yourself it's just a day or that you don't care. Don't try to laugh at memes or scroll through social media like it doesn't matter. It does. It always does. That ache, the way your chest tightens when you see a couple walking by, or your stomach drops when someone posts a picture with the person you used to imagine yourself holding, is real, and it's yours. Let it exist. Sit with it. Breathe it in. This isn't weakness. It's proof that you're alive, that you care, that your heart still beats even when it feels like the world is trying to convince you otherwise. There's something heavy about being alone on this day that no one tells you. It makes you notice yourself. The quiet spaces you usually fill with distractions suddenly feel enormous. The thoughts you buried during normal days creep forward. The why not me, and the what's wrong with me, and the maybe I'm unlovable that you push aside because they're uncomfortable. On Valentine's Day, they come for you. They don't knock politely. They sit on your chest. They stare you down until you can't ignore them. And the first step in surviving it is acknowledging that. You have to face your own reflection in a way that scares you. See the person who sits alone at home staring at a wall or scrolling endlessly, and tell them it's okay to hurt. Tell them it's okay to want love and still be without it. Tell them the loneliness isn't a failure. It's a sign that your heart is capable of feeling deeply, even if the world doesn't recognize it today. The ache is not a flaw. It's not evidence that you're broken. It's a signal that you've survived every Valentine's Day that came before, and somehow you're still standing. And yet surviving isn't the same as feeling okay. That day, the one filled with reds, pinks, chocolates, flowers, and declarations of love, can feel like punishment if you let it. The comparison is loud. The memories of what you thought would be yours sting sharper. And that's when you need to make the first real choice. Don't numb it. Don't run. Don't distract yourself so much that you forget to be here. Be alone on purpose. Feel every part of it, even the quiet desperation. Even the thought that maybe you'll never have someone to share this day with. Because surviving isn't about erasing the pain. It's about carrying it and letting it teach you something about yourself. The advice I'd give someone else if I could is simple but harsh. Valentine's Day will hurt. The world will remind you of absence. Your mind will drag you through every failure, every lost chance, every person who left. But this pain is proof that you're human. And if you can sit in it, even for a few hours, and still find the strength to breathe, to feed yourself, to get out of bed, that counts for more than any bouquet, any card, any kiss you didn't receive. Being alone on Valentine's Day isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about learning to survive the quiet in a way that doesn't erase you. Because if you can survive this day alone, with your heart intact even when it feels shredded, you will survive almost anything else the world throws at you. And one day, that strength will matter far more than a single date ever could. The next lesson is harder to swallow. Distractions don't save you. I used to think I could binge shows, scroll through social media, eat junk, listen to music on repeat, and somehow erase the hollow in my chest. It doesn't work. The empty spaces in the day don't disappear, they just become louder. Silence stretches across the hours, and suddenly your thoughts have room to roam, to grow, to sting. You notice every little thing. The quiet in your apartment, the absence of someone calling just to say I thought of you, the way even the air feels heavy with the weight of being alone. You have to let yourself feel that. Don't run from it. If you distract yourself too much, you'll wake up tomorrow with the same ache, maybe sharper because avoidance never teaches endurance. This is a day that demands presence, not with other people, but with yourself. Sit in it. Notice your loneliness. Let the tightness in your chest remind you that you're alive. Let the ache remind you that you've loved, that you're capable of feeling deeply, that even if no one else sees it, you matter to yourself. And then there's the cruelest part of all, comparison. It will hit you like a hammer if you let it. Couples walking hand in hand. Pictures online of flowers and dinners and kisses. Every post, every story, every public display feels like a reminder of everything you don't have. It's tempting to scroll, to peek, to measure your life against theirs. Don't. Not today. Deleting the apps, putting your phone down, closing the tabs. These aren't acts of avoidance, they're acts of survival. Protect the fragile space of your mind. Guard it fiercely. You can't control the world, but you can control how much of its noise you let in. And still, there's the guilt. The part of you that wonders if being alone is your fault. The voice that whispers maybe you're too much, maybe you're too intense, maybe you love too hard. That voice will try to convince you that your loneliness is a reflection of inadequacy. Don't listen. You're not inadequate. You're human. And humans, by their nature, will sometimes be alone. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you real. It makes you someone capable of surviving emptiness, someone capable of facing themselves in moments that feel unbearable. One of the most important things I've learned is the value of small rituals. When the world screams love or die, you create your own meaning. Make your own little acts of care. Cook a meal you like. Watch a movie that makes you laugh or cry without shame. Write a letter to no one. Listen to a song that hurts so much it feels like a lifeline. Light a candle. Take a long shower. Sleep in. Do things that remind you that you're here for yourself first, not anyone else. Those small gestures are lifeboats in a day that threatens to swallow you whole. And most of all, remember this. Valentine's Day is temporary. The world will keep moving. The couples will keep walking. The flowers will fade. The chocolates will be eaten. But your endurance, your quiet resilience will remain. If you can sit in this loneliness, if you can survive the ache, if you can honor your own presence without the validation of another person, you are stronger than you know. You are not weak for being alone. You are human, and one day surviving days like this will remind you that your capacity for love is unshakable, even if no one else is there to witness it. Being alone on Valentine's Day isn't about pretending it's fine. It's about acknowledging the ache, respecting it, learning from it, and carrying it without letting it define you. Because if you can survive this day, you can survive almost anything. By mid-afternoon, the silence becomes unbearable. Not loud, not screaming, but the kind that presses into your skull and makes every thought feel heavier than it should. You notice the absence of sound, the absence of someone caring if you exist today, and it drags you into corners of your mind you usually avoid. I've been there, sitting alone in my apartment, staring at walls, listening to the quiet tick of a clock, thinking about how easy it would be to vanish for a while. Not permanently, not destructively, just enough to make the world stop noticing me for a few hours. And that thought isn't dramatic, it isn't I want to die. It's worse in a way because it's calm, it's quiet, it's seductive. It whispers that maybe the ache could pause if only I stepped out of it, even just for a moment. And for someone who spent years feeling overlooked, forgotten, left behind, it almost makes sense to imagine a break from the pain, from the loneliness, from the day that's designed to remind you of what you don't have. The hardest part is facing yourself in these moments. You see how much you've tied your worth to other people's attention, how much love you've given freely, hoping it would be returned, and how often it hasn't been. How much fear of abandonment has shaped everything you do, how you overthink, overreach, overcare, until the world feels too heavy for you alone. You realize that surviving Valentine's Day isn't about anyone else. It's about whether you can meet yourself, broken, anxious, aching, and still stay present. I remember the way my chest felt tightening with every reminder of what I didn't have. The way my eyes stung from trying not to cry. The way I wanted someone, anyone, to notice that I was here, that I existed, that I hurt, and then I hated myself for wanting that so badly. I hated myself for caring too much, for expecting too much, for feeling too deeply. And yet in the same heartbeat, I knew that the part of me that aches is the part of me that is still alive, still capable of feeling, still capable of hope. It's in these moments that you learn the quiet truths no one tells you, that loneliness is not a failure, that being alone does not mean you're unworthy, that the ache you feel is evidence that you've loved, that you've risked, that you're still human in a world that often forgets the quiet ones, and that survival isn't glamorous, it isn't heroic, it isn't loud, it's small, it's breathing when every instinct tells you to stop, it's feeding yourself when the world feels meaningless. It's sitting with your chest tight and still deciding to stay. I make lists in my head of small things to do, a warm shower, a coffee I actually enjoy, a playlist I made years ago that somehow always comforts me, a walk outside even if it's cold, a text to someone I trust that isn't about love, just presence. Each of these acts feels like reclaiming a little piece of myself, a little piece of the day that would otherwise swallow me whole. They are small victories, almost invisible, but they accumulate, and slowly, imperceptibly, the quiet heaviness shifts. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't have to. It just becomes a space I can occupy without feeling crushed by it. The truth is, being alone on Valentine's Day is brutal. It forces you to confront everything you usually hide. The insecurities, the regrets, the desires, the loneliness, the part of yourself that wishes it could just stop for a while. But if you can survive the day, survive the quiet, survive the temptation to disappear, you come out knowing something essential. You are enough. You are strong enough to face your own ache. You are capable of sitting with your own heart without needing validation. You are human, and that is worth more than any holiday could ever give you. So yes, the day still hurts. It still reminds you of what isn't there, but it also teaches you resilience. It teaches you presence. It teaches you that being alone doesn't make you broken. It makes you capable. Capable of feeling, surviving, and eventually, when the world allows, capable of loving again. If you want, I can immediately write part 4, finale, where the story closes with the culmination of endurance, self-reflection, and the quiet power of surviving being alone, in the same raw, introspective style. By evening, the ache has settled into a quieter rhythm. Not gone, not even close, but it no longer dominates every thought, every breath. I sit in my apartment with the lights dimmed low, the world outside still buzzing with red hearts and couples walking hand in hand, and I realize something I didn't expect. Surviving this day alone is not a punishment, it's a lesson. I've learned that being alone doesn't have to feel like emptiness. It can be a reclamation, a chance to recognize your own presence, your own heartbeat, your own value without someone else confirming it for you. I make a cup of tea I actually enjoy, sit by the window, and let the city lights blur into a comforting haze. No one is here to hold my hand, to say I love you, to bring flowers. But someone is here, the one person who has always mattered in the end. Me. The thoughts that earlier whispered escape, the ones that made the silence seductive, almost convincing, have lost their power. Not because the pain is gone, but because I've chosen to sit with it. I've chosen to exist even when my mind argued that disappearing would be easier. I've chosen to breathe even when it feels like carrying the weight of my own heart is too much. That choice is subtle, it's quiet, it's almost invisible, but it's stronger than any chocolate, any bouquet, any kiss I never received today. I start making a list in my head, little ways to honor myself, a long shower, music that hurts but heals at the same time, a book I've been avoiding, a walk in the cold just to feel my body moving through space. I realize that Valentine's Day doesn't have to be about what you don't have. It can be about acknowledging what you do have, your endurance, your heart, your capacity to survive pain without letting it consume you entirely. I reflect on the years I've spent waiting for someone to choose me, for a love that would validate my existence. And I realize now that my own choice, the choice to keep showing up, keep feeling, keep existing, is far more meaningful than anything anyone else could give me. The day is still hard, the ache is still there, the loneliness still gnaws at the edges of my chest, but I am no longer entirely defined by it. I am not a victim of absence anymore. I am a witness to my own strength. I think about the advice I would give someone else. Let yourself hurt. Let the ache be loud if it wants to. Cry if it needs to. Sit in the quiet and face your own heart. Do small things for yourself, rituals that remind you you exist and you matter. Protect your mind from comparison. Avoid the traps that make the loneliness feel like failure. And most of all, understand that surviving the day alone is an act of courage even if no one applauds. By the time the night ends, I am exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. I have sat with the ache, stared it down, let it teach me what it means to endure. And in that exhaustion, I find a strange sense of peace. It isn't joy. It isn't love from someone else. It is quiet power. The realization that I can survive even the day designed to remind me of what I lack. That my existence is enough even if no one else sees it. Valentine's Day will come again. The world will continue to pair up, to celebrate, to love. And I will be here. Alone, yes, but not defeated. I will carry the ache, honor it, and use it to remind myself that my heart is still alive, that surviving it matters more than any holiday could ever. Being alone on Valentine's Day isn't the end of anything. It's a beginning. The beginning of understanding that your presence matters, that your pain is real, and that your capacity to endure is far stronger than anyone will ever give you credit for. And in that understanding, the day loses some of its bite. The ache is still there, yes, but now it sits beside me, not on top of me. I am alone, I am quiet, I am surviving. And that, I realize, is enough.